Hi, everybody. Welcome to GSX 2021 semi-live from Orlando, Florida. I'm your host, Chuck Harrell. My next guest, David Antar, the president of IPvideo.com. Mr. Dave, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you, Chuck. Pleasure to see you. I always enjoy talking to you. I'm glad you invited us to your show.
I always like talking to you. You always have something innovative going on. I mean, I'm not just saying that. I've done so many shows, but I know what innovation is, and you are the definition of that. Now, last time we talked, I think COVID was, kind of starting, right? And boy, the entire market has changed. Everything has changed. And of course, today we're going to talk about your Halo Smart Sensor, which is kind of an all-in-one sensor that, well, let's put it this way. What doesn't it sense inside a building, right? It's really kind of amazing. But I assume you've added some health indexes to it. I'm assuming that, right? Maybe air quality or something. Tell us what your offering is and why is measuring health index and air quality so important nowadays?
Well, it's a really important question. I'm glad you asked it. Halo was originally designed to do all of these things. It was actually designed as an environmental monitoring device. It just so happened that vape and vape with THC was hidden at epidemic levels, and that's why it kind of launched as a vape detector and became the #1 vape detector in the world. But we always knew that was only 5% of Halo's capabilities. And the good and the bad that came from the pandemic was that people got more sensitive about air quality in buildings, and Halo was originally designed to monitor air quality and the environment for these buildings. So right now, Halo has 12 sensors in it, and it does vape with THC, advanced smoke detection, air quality index, which is actually the outdoor air quality, but it's measuring that indoors. But then we've added the health index, which is actually the health of the building inside, which is really critical. And there's a lot of things airborne in the building that could be germs, and it could be other harmful chemicals that might be in the air that we're actually measuring now and giving an index on that got created. And then on top of that, we're doing advanced smoke detection, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, methane, propane, natural gas detection, chemical detection, temperature, humidity, air pressure, light levels, and then the whole audio side for gunshot detection, keyword detection, where it'll wake up on a keyword and trigger an emergency event. So a lot of exciting things going on, and we're really excited to be coming out to GSX to be introducing Halo 2.5. As well as our Halo Cloud, which is a really exciting component to Halo.
Well, it's an amazing product. Why don't you hold it up so people can see this? And I think people are going to be amazed when they look at it. They're thinking of some giant thing. Look at that. That's about the size of a regular smoke detector, isn't it?
Yeah, yep. And the very cool thing about it, it was designed as a PoE or Power over Ethernet device. Very easy installation. It basically has a 5-inch diameter to it that you just pop it into a 5-inch hole in a drop ceiling. You plug a network cable into it. You open up the wings on it, tighten it up. So it's an extremely easy installation. And the cool thing about Halo is that we're always adding feature and function to it through firmware and software upgrades. And now with the Halo Cloud, it gives us the ability to do so much more. We are capturing 1 million data points a day per Halo, and we can do real-time analytics. So you can start to analyze the environment. In addition to getting the alerts, you can actually look historically at what's going on in the building or your facility.
So are you telling me you've built analytics into it? In other words, I'm collecting data from a year ago, and I can crunch that now and come up with some patterns and things to adjust my facilities?
Yeah, you can come up with signatures of everything so we can start to determine and then start to be proactive in being able to predict things that are going on. Good example of that is we put this into a commercial building where we're able to demonstrate a $17,000 per year savings on it by measuring the carbon dioxide levels. And why carbon dioxide is so important is that when CO2 levels get above 800 parts per million, you're breathing other people's air. It's not good quality air. And very often when you're in an office building or in an environment, in the afternoon, people seem to get tired and are less productive. It's very often not because they had a big lunch. It's very often because the carbon dioxide levels are going above that 800 parts per million, and they're not getting enough quality air to be able to be productive and alert. So we measure that, and then we did something really important. We've done 45 integrations to Halo since we developed it, to every video management platform, to many access control platforms, to PoE LED lighting. But the big one was to BACnet. And BACnet is the language that building management systems use to communicate. So we're able to control the opening and closing of dampers in a commercial building to be able to let fresh air in. The problem is if you let too much fresh air in, you're now going to be increasing your energy usage by having to heat or cool that to the temperature inside the building, the ambient temperature. So if it's 30 degrees outside and you have to heat that air up to 70 degrees, that's an energy cost. So you don't want to let in too much air, but you want to make sure you're maintaining those granular levels of carbon dioxide levels throughout that building.
Well, this is fascinating to me. I know there's some surveys done. 73% of building occupants were concerned about the facility air quality, but also safety. So let's talk about how Halo really ties into the security market and specifically what features it offers for that.
Sure. So in the security market, many things like the gunshot detection, which is patent pending on our unique algorithms for gunshot detection. We also do keyword detection. So if there was an emergency declared and somebody said, "Help, emergency," it's going to trigger an emergency event back to them that you can end up hearing that alert and being able to trigger that to either a central command center to have it send an email or text to somebody or notify somebody in the building that there's an emergency going on. So what we've been able to do with Halo is turn this into a security product and environmental. We're actually crossing both worlds, which is unusual. And Halo is now up to 46 awards that it's won in both the environmental space and the security space. And it's one of the few products that actually bridges those two areas.
Now, let's talk about the security application for sound. Just to clarify, it does not record. It's not recording everything people say. It's an algorithm that hits on keywords. Does it hit on noises and sounds? In other words, in domestic violence cases or fights, similar to gunshots, you might have people yelling and screaming. So if you have an argument, does it register that sort of thing?
It does, Chuck, and it's a great point that you bring up. We're very, very concerned about privacy and always have been from the day one when we created Halo. So Halo does not record anything. What it does is it does edge processing, which means we're not going to a cloud like an Alexa might go to the cloud to be able to analyze. We're actually doing all the analytics on the edge in the device itself. So nothing leaves Halo. And what we do is we look for signatures or we look for keywords that we may train the device to look for. But in the case of a fight breaking out, we're looking for unusual patterns of noises. And what that means is that if you were in a school, as an example, between 10:45 and 11 o'clock, it might be very noisy Monday through Friday because the kids are moving between periods. But if at 11:15, all of a sudden, there was a loud noise, somebody yelling for help or a fight that broke out, Halo can recognize that as an unusual sound and trigger an emergency event.
Now, to that point, does it use machine learning and AI to learn your patterns and then kind of adjust to that?
That's a very good observation. That's exactly what it does. It uses the AI and machine learning to actually get smarter over time. And it actually sets those thresholds and alarm alert levels automatically. You can set them manually if you'd like, but it also has the ability to create those automatically where it sets off the thresholds for the different sensors that we're using on the platform.
Now, let's go back to security. You have a new product launch. You're starting up a new division, and it's kind of virtual guarding is the best way to describe it. So tell me how that's going, and then how you're using Halo in that application in that startup.
Yeah, it's very exciting. We actually had created this division quite a few years ago, but the world wasn't ready for it. It's called our Global Fusion Center, and we have a name that we branded under, which is virtualguarding.com. And under virtualguarding.com, we use artificial intelligence on the cameras on the edge to be able to trigger events back to a centralized command center that we staff 24/7. The unique thing about this is that we include Halo into many of those installations because if you think of the camera as your eyes triggering the events back to you, Halo is your ears and your nose triggering events back to that central command center that operators make a determination whether it's something valid, whether it requires a post order that requires us to call the police, call the building owner, notify somebody, and take emergency action. And typically, we come in at almost half the price of a physical security guard. And in most cases, we can replace security guards in a lot of these installations or just minimize the number of security guards. So as an example, if somebody had 10 security guards at a facility, very often we could do it with 3 or 4 security guards and then enhance what they do using the artificial intelligence on the cameras and using Halo in conjunction with that. So it's launched very, very quickly. COVID's driven that for 2 reasons. Shortage of personnel is one of them. Security guard companies are struggling to staff and be able to put people in those facilities. The other is the wages. With minimum wage having risen so high, that's a huge increase to people that have physical security guards, that they're getting 20, 30% increases to those security guards. And the other thing is, think of every camera as being the equivalent of a security guard at that position, because the artificial intelligence doesn't miss things. So we actually deliver a more efficient system at a lower cost to the customer.
Well, it's brilliant. I cut my teeth in security on guards and staffing things like 900 posts at the Academy, well, 9,000 posts at the Academy Awards with hundreds and hundreds of guards. It's a challenge. It was a challenge back then. And now the statistics say there's only about a 95% availability to staff any guard company. You're 5% short, no matter what you're doing, special event, regular posts. So this is absolutely a stopgap. In fact, I don't think it's a stopgap. I think it's a new standard. I can see this as being a new standard.
It's the future.
Yeah, it really is. Video management.
Absolutely right, Chuck. This is the future.
This is like video management, a system on steroids, right? Because your Halo is the data feed, and you have guards, maybe to supplement it, maybe not, but very good. Now, if I was going to ask you what you're worried about in 2022, what would that be? 2021, it's kind of lost. We're already almost done with that. But 2022, I worry about things like supply chain, personnel shortages, stuff like that. What does David Antar worry about?
Sure. So supply chain is obviously a critical component to us. We've taken very, very positive action on that, and we actually have ordered enough raw materials to continue to build Halo and some of the other technologies we do through at least the end of the first quarter of 2022. And we actually hired a person that is our supply chain manager, believe it or not, just to manage that because of the criticalness of things. So that's our number one concern. Our number two concern is moving Halo and our other products out internationally. We've had a lot of success into New Zealand, into Australia, the Mideast, and now we're starting to move into other international areas. So understanding the international markets as we expand into that is really something that keeps us up and keeps us on our toes. And then continuing to address and solve people's problems. Right now, getting people back into those commercial buildings is really important. One of the things that we're offering, which we tie that virtual guarding and Halo into, is smart building as a service, where not only can we make the building safer, make it more appealing for people to go into that building with better air quality, but we can actually help the building owners to save money by managing the efficiency of the building, leveraging a lot of the technologies that we have in place with Halo, as well as other sensors that can tie into our Halo cloud. And we can actually make that building more efficient, not just in energy, but actually in maintenance and security. So we kind of bring it all together with that smart building as a service. So we're really excited about that as we move forward into 2022.
Now, you said something interesting about internationally. Of course, there's a lot of laws that differ from country to country about privacy and things like that. But again, just to reemphasize this, and I want to make sure people get it, you have the privacy handled. In other words, if the regulations in Europe say you can't record things, you're not recording things. I want to make sure everybody gets that part of it.
It's important, Chuck, and I'm glad you're reemphasizing that. We are very, very concerned from day one when we created Halo. It was designed as a privacy device, something you can put into a bathroom, a locker room, or into public areas. It doesn't matter. It can go into any of those areas. We don't record anything. We're very careful to that, but we can alert on things that bring sensitive issues to the forefront, which could be somebody being attacked, a gunshot going off, something that really is critical, or a dangerous air quality situation that alerts people immediately. We do have the ability to be able to transmit a warning to people also. So we become a messaging system also for mass communications when we're installed throughout a building. So our goal for 2022 is really moving Halo out of the bathroom into all the other rooms of a building. And really these applications and use cases.
That's a great
use cases
catchphrase. Halo, we're moving out of your bathroom. I mean, maybe that's your new catchphrase.
Exactly.
That's very good. Now, we have.
That's funny, but that's where we're going.
Let's say we got 50% of the people still staying home for a little while. A lot of empty office buildings. I've noticed in my area. I could see this being used in a commercial real estate application for either rentals, right? Or, let's say my office building is kind of empty. You know what? A lot of things can happen in an empty building. And Halo was there to kind of make sure your facility, although not occupied, is still safe. Am I on the right track there?
100%, Chuck. That's exactly what the goal was with Halo. to help people to make those buildings safer and more efficient and allow it all to be done remotely through our Halo Cloud. And the beauty of Halo Cloud is we can manage large groups of Halo that are anywhere in the world. So a building owner that might have locations across the country can actually look at a snapshot of all their buildings, find out where events and alerts are happening, be able to react to those in real time. It's just an amazing transition of Halo from being a standalone device now to be a network device, and yet there's no network servers. There's nothing required except a network connection with PoE to the device, and that's it. And then everything else goes through the cloud and can do all the alerting and everything right from that.
David Antar, the president of IPVideo.com. One of my favorite products. You know what? This year it's my favorite product. Again, it's the most innovative, and you've really stepped up and brought more things to it. And one of my favorite guys. I love your entrepreneurial spirit, David. You're always thinking ahead of the next big thing, and that's where we have to be to solve some really complex security issues that are facing the entire industry in the next few years.
We do, and that's what we have done from day one. We've always been an innovation company, and it's funny, a lot of people look at us like an overnight success. It's an overnight success, 32 years in the making. We've always been developing technology. It's just all of a sudden everything hit right time, right place with all the right technologies that we've been bringing to market. So we're excited, really bullish on the market going into 2022. We think it's going to be a good year for the security industry and for us, and we're really excited about where everything's going.
I agree. Make sure you visit David at booth 1816 at GSX Orlando. And I won't catch you this year in person due to restrictions. Let's just put it that way. But next year for sure we'll hook up in person. So David, thank you so much for coming on GSX 2021.